A long time ago, there lived a poor cobbler in a village. He was unmarried and spent his days repairing shoes. Whatever little money he earned was just enough for him to survive. His income was so low that he could hardly feed himself, so he never even thought about getting married. One day, he felt like eating khichdi, a dish of rice and lentils. He hadn't eaten it in a long time, so he went to the market, bought some rice and moong dal, and happily cooked the dish. When it was ready, he poured it into a big plate to let it cool. While waiting, he thought, why not return the repaired shoes to the villagers first? By the time I come back, the khichdi will be ready to eat. So he left the food there and went out. Coincidentally, a jackal wandering out of the nearby forest came by. Seeing the cobbler's house empty, he went inside. To his delight, there was a big plate full of freshly cooked khichdi. Hungry as he was, he immediately began gobbling it down. But before he could finish, the cobbler returned. Eager to eat his khichdi quickly, the cobbler had rushed home after delivering the shoes. To his shock, he found the jackal enjoying his food. He quickly shut the door, caught the jackal with a rope, and tied him up. Then he picked up a big stick and began beating him. From time to time, he would interrupt his work just to return and thrash the jackal again. The jackal thought miserably, if he keeps beating me like this, I won't survive. But since he was tied up, he could neither run away nor fight back. So he kept quiet and endured the pain. The night passed somehow. The next morning, when the cobbler left for work, the jackal began to think of a way to escape. After a while, a trick came to his mind. He twisted himself around in the rope as though he were struggling, and cried out loudly as if calling his companions. The forest was nearby, and the other jackals heard his cries. They howled back. Among them was a close friend of the jackal who was trapped. Hearing his friend's voice, he grew worried and came toward the village. Following the sound, he finally reached the cobbler's house. He peeked inside and saw his friend tied up. Shocked, he asked, "Friend, how did you end up here? And what's going on?" The tied-up jackal was badly bruised and swollen from the beating, which made him look plump and healthy. To hide his suffering, he forced a smile and said, "We're living in luxury here, my friend. While you roam the forests, I'm enjoying myself." The other jackal, seeing how fat he looked, was amazed. "Tell me, how did you manage this?" he asked. The tied jackal cunningly said, "I'll share the secret, but on one condition. You must promise never to tell anyone." "Of course, I promise," the friend replied eagerly. So the tied jackal said, "A kind man caught me and treats me very well. Every day he ties me up so I don't run away, and feeds me halwa and puris, a sweet dish, and fried bread. Just look at how well fed I've become." Hearing this, the free jackal's mouth watered. He thought, if only I could get this chance too. Noticing his friend's greed, the tied jackal whispered, "Since you're my friend, I can share this blessing with you. Untie me, and I'll tie you here in my place. In 2 or 3 days, you'll become fat like me and enjoy halwa puris." The foolish jackal agreed immediately. "Yes, friend, that would be wonderful." So he untied his companion, who quickly tied him in place instead and ran away to freedom. When the cobbler returned home, he didn't realize it was a different jackal. He picked up his stick and began beating the poor creature once again. The new jackal cried in pain, "What kind of halwa puris are these that I'm getting?" Terrified, he begged the cobbler, "Why are you beating me? What have I done to you?" The cobbler was stunned. This jackal was talking like a human. He thought, so this jackal was tricking me before by keeping quiet. Now, after being beaten so much, he's speaking. He hit him a few more times and said, "I'll keep beating you until I've avenged my khichdi. Tell me, why did you eat it?" The jackal replied, "I didn't eat your khichdi. When I came here, there was another jackal tied up. He tricked me, saying if I let him go and took his place, I would be fed halwa puris. That's why I'm tied here now, and you've been beating me ever since." The cobbler sneered, "I know all your tricks," and struck him again. Desperate, the jackal pleaded, "If you let me go, I'll have you married to the king's daughter." The cobbler's mouth fell open. "What? Me, marry the king's daughter? I'm just a poor cobbler. Are you making a fool of me?" But the jackal swore, "I promise, I'll make it happen." The cobbler, though doubtful, freed him. The jackal said, "Stay home and wait. I'll soon bring you good news," and left. The jackal went to the riverbank, crossed it, and on the other side transformed into a human. He disguised himself as a royal envoy and entered the court of a neighboring king. The king asked, "Stranger, who are you and why have you come?" The Jackal bowed and said, "I am the envoy of your neighboring king. He sends a marriage proposal for your daughter." It so happened that the king did have a young daughter and was worried about finding a good match for her. Hearing this proposal, he was overjoyed and quickly accepted. He even set a wedding date and gave the envoy many valuable gifts. The Jackal returned, told the cobbler the good news, and on the wedding day took him to the river. Along the way, he cleverly bribed a washerman to hang his laundry on trees and bushes by the river, and paid a cotton seller to scatter tufts of cotton along the banks. From afar, these looked like tents and boats, giving the illusion of a grand wedding party. The Jackal told the cobbler, "When you see me entering the king's palace, tell the washerman to collect his clothes and throw the cotton into the river. The floating tufts will look like boats." He then crossed the river again, entered the palace as the envoy, and wept before the king. "Alas, misfortune struck us. While crossing the river, a great storm sank the ships. Everyone drowned, ministers, nobles, relatives. Only I and the groom survived. The groom sits alone on the other bank, in tattered clothes." The king was horrified but relieved the groom was alive. He immediately sent soldiers to bring the cobbler with full royal honor. The cobbler was ferried across, received with great respect, and soon married the princess in a splendid ceremony. Later, the Jackal, still in the guise of the envoy, advised the king, "Your son-in-law has lost everything: family, kingdom, wealth. It would be better if he stayed here with you." The king, who loved his daughter dearly, agreed. He gave the cobbler a palace of his own, and the cobbler began living a life of luxury. After a few days, the Jackal said to the cobbler, "See, I fulfilled my promise. Now let me return to my own people." The cobbler tried to keep him, but the Jackal refused and left, resuming his true form and rejoining his companions.